For the first time ever, there are more people who smoke on a daily basis as opposed to people who drink. And this is a shocking finding because when I was growing up, gardening wasn't even legal in the majority of the states in the US. Now it's legal, and I don't think people should be locked up for it. However, there are risks associated with it, and it can lead to an increased risk of psychosis. It can lead to decreased IQ over time, memory issues, brain fog. And for the people who start at an early age, I'm talking 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and younger, you put yourself at a great risk because your brain is still forming. So if there were a time to use, it wouldn't be during those formative years. It'd be ideally after your brain is formed, 26, 27, 28, 29, so on and so forth. And for those people who use every single day, I'm not telling you to stop. That's not the point and purpose of this video, but there are some benefits that can happen if you stop. You could have a clearer mind, you could have reduced brain fog, and that's a personal decision. However, the majority of people who try to stop, they fail on day 5 because of a couple of different things, and we're going to talk about that right now. So here are a couple of things that you can experience when you quit gardening. Number 1, the strange vivid dreams. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why people fail on their tea break journey, or if they're trying to give it up. You fail around the day 4 or 5 mark because you're having these weird dreams. They're too vivid. They're unlike anything that you've experienced. And you're coming out of a state where you probably have been using and gardening for a while, maybe a couple of years, couple of months. And if this is how things have been for you, there's a good chance that you probably weren't having dreams. And all of a sudden you're having dreams. So this is something that you should look out for. Number 2, insane mood swings. I find it funny that a lot of people start gardening to help themselves with their mood and to not feel certain things. However, when you stop, you start to have these mood swings, and that makes you want to go right back to it. And at a certain point, you do feel better, right? If you give it about 1 or 2 weeks, the withdrawal symptoms tend to kind of fade away. So you got to play it out. 2 weeks, you'll feel a lot better. Some people need a month or so, depending on how long you've been smoking. But when you have these mood swings, it makes you feel like you got to return back to it. It makes you feel like you got to go straight to the dispo because now all of a sudden the smallest things frustrate you. And probably one of the benefits of gardening is the fact that it suppresses your negative emotions. At the same time, one of the worst things about gardening is the fact that it suppresses your negative emotions. Our negative emotions are our biggest catalyst for change. So if you need to make a change in life, but you're just always blazed, it's going to be hard for you to spur yourself into action and to get the things done that you need to accomplish. And number 3, insomnia. I think this is probably the number 1 reason why the majority of folks who I know that garden, they do it because they have a hard time sleeping. And when it comes to insomnia, I do think that this is an epidemic. A lot of us aren't sleeping nowadays. Maybe it could be the phone. Perhaps it's the phone. Maybe it's the laptop, the PlayStation, all of the sensory input that we get on a daily basis. Sure. Some of the medications that we use to help people sleep, whether it's melatonin or Benadryl, it can make you groggy, and people have the reasons as to why they don't like it. So in 2025, one of the most popular methods to help yourself get some sleep is by gardening, is by getting high. And if you stop, whether you're taking a permanent break or a tea break, you're going to feel that insomnia. So if you don't have a game plan for how you plan to get sleep, whether you want to work out during the nighttime hours to tire yourself out and read a book, or you take melatonin, or you go to your doctor and get some sleep aid, I believe that if you don't have a plan for that, there's a really high chance that you're going to start gardening once again. Because if you're not sleeping and you were sleeping perfectly, and all of a sudden you decide to take a small tea break and now we can't sleep, yeah, that's going to be an issue. And your first inclination and thought is to go back to it, to just reset, go to the dispensary or go to your friend's house and get a couple of edibles, or do what you do. And like I said, it's a personal decision, but I believe that these are the top 3 things that if you can overcome them, you give yourself a pretty good chance at getting out of that frustrating 1 to 2 week period where you're feeling the effects of life after gardening.